Right, we're going to look at making the frame now for Marlborough flower, and it really does finish the design off. You've got a nice wavy effect and all sorts of things going on here. It's a separate frame, so you make the frame separately and then join it, or join the motif to the frame. If you haven't looked at the videos for the first set of patterns, there are a lot of hints and tips on the Merton Abbey block about sort of starting off a separate frame and how not to twist the long chain and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go in here with round one to start with the frame. So that means that I've already made the chain and made the double crochets into the chain. So we've kind of got the very bare bones of the frame here. Like I said, if you want to have a look at some hints and tips on how to get to this stage, go and have a little look at the Merton Abbey making the frame video, and I'll put a link to that underneath this one. So we need to assume that we're at round one now, and so we've got this foundation round ready, and what I've got here is just two of the corners marked up. You can do that all the way round on the flower itself and also on the frame, and I've got a stitch marker in the center, double crochet of the frame corner, and in the center double crochet of each, or of just one here, of the corner leaf. All right, so that just is going to allow us to line up where we need to line up to kick things off, and make sure we kind of stay true to stitch counts and all that kind of good stuff while we're joining our frame. Right, so we're going to, now we're on round one, so we're moving on to a different colour. I'm going to be working in blush, which is the original colourway, but obviously anything that you choose is utterly fine. So we're going to actually work into back loops only to start with. All right, and we've marked, as I said, we've marked the corner stitches of the leaf and the frame, and so we need to position things so the leaf or the motif is on top of the frame, and we go through the frame, we go through the leaf before the frame. All right, so we've got our stitch marked, but what I'm going to do is only work through the back loop only. So if I'm just going to remove the stitch marker now, because I know where I'm going to go, and it will just be easier to show you. So if you see here, normally I'd put my hook through both legs of the stitch. Can just sort of separate them out. You can see there's two loops going across the top of the hook, but for this I'm going to go into the back loop only, so I'm going to miss this front leg and go through into the back loop only. Okay, and I'm going to also go into the marked stitch on the frame at the same time, the whole marked stitch, not just the back loop only of the marked stitch on the frame, the whole marked stitch. So I've just put my hook all the way through that one there. All right, so it's back loop only of the leaf, whole stitch of the frame. So we've got a nice secure fastening. So I'm just going to remove that stitch marker as well, and we're going to join our yarn through those two pieces like that. So you're going all the way through the frame and through the back loop only of the leaf. I can just say it a million times, but that's kind of how it is. And I will just secure that new yarn in place with a chain. All right, so that's not going to count as a stitch, and we are going to go ahead and do another double crochet in exactly the same place, so through the back loop only and through the full stitch of the frame, like so. All right, so that is joined securely into the leaf and securely into the frame, and everything's joined together, and that's completely fine. Now all I'm going to do now is make a double crochet into the next 21 stitches of the frame. All right, so just make sure you're going into the next stitch, so see where your yarn is coming out on the frame, because obviously things are kind of covered there, so don't miss a stitch. I'm going to go into the next one along and just go ahead and make 21 double crochet. Right, okay, number 20 and number 21, and that brings me now to the next center stitch of the 3-stitch group in the corner of the chain, of the frame, I beg your pardon. So that means I can now repeat that little maneuver that we started with, which is to say put my hook through the back loop only of the center stitch on the leaf and through the next stitch in its entirety on the frame, and make my stitch like so, which means that now the frame is joined in 2 places. Okay, and that's it. That's what we're going to do all the way around. So I've already got two leaves joined, and I'll just join the other 2 and we'll be able to see where we go next. It's just the first stage of securing this motif into place. Right, I've got to the end, I've slip stitched to join, I've got 4 corners joined. Now, this is not ideal, but it is ideal to show you as a teaching point. You can see my frame is baggy, okay? It's too big for what I've got going on in the middle here. I've used the same hook that I've used, but if you're going to need to change hook sizes at all from your regular gauge, it's going to be here, because it's kind of a freestanding thing. It tends to be a little bit looser, and as you can see, mine is sadly lacking. So I'm going to have to redo this to make it fit. But so don't worry, if you're in this position, don't worry. It's absolutely normal. It's absolutely possible to completely be fine with it. What is also a good idea, I know I've made 2 rounds, okay, and I've got to go back and make those again, but because I'm going to be coming down a hook size and bringing the size of this in a little, I can reuse this yarn. I know there'll be enough of that yarn left to do it again, because I'm going to be making that frame a little bit smaller. So I'm going to try a 3.5mm hook to see if that brings that in to a suitable size and makes that look a little more snug. And although it's going to take me ages to do it, I'm going to edit it into this video and you'll be able to see the difference. There, isn't that so much better? So all I've done there is just gone down a hook size to 3.5, and my frame now fits really nicely. So don't worry if yours came out like mine did to begin with, a bit baggy. Easily fixed, just takes a little bit more time, but the result is so worth it, isn't it? So get that part right and your blocks are going to look really, really pretty.